Hey everybody, welcome back to No More, No Less. I'm Michael Chikeen, and today in the virtual studio, I have with me Dr. Bella DePaulo. There seems to be a slight panic in the air today about more people choosing to be single. Often cited as the state of Japanese sexlessness or the moral imperative of keeping the birth rate from falling through the floor, population collapse, they say. Yet no matter how much fear the media tries to stir into my coffee every morning about this manufactured problem, the trend continues of people choosing to be single. So, is this a crisis or a personal choice revolution? Bella DePaulo has been described by The Atlantic as America's foremost thinker and writer on the single experience. Dr. DePaulo coined the term single at heart and gave a TEDx talk on this topic in 2017, which has more than 1.6 million views. Dr. DePaulo received her PhD from Harvard University and is currently an academic affiliate in the Department of Psychology and Brain Sciences at the University of California, Santa Barbara. She's the author of Singled Out, The Psychology of Dexter, and How We Live Now. And she's written the column Living Signal for the Psychology Today since 2008 and been published in the New York Times, the Washington Post, Time Magazine, and been interviewed all over the place on TV. Today we're going to talk about her new book, Single at Heart. And so before someone else has the chance to get married, let's dive in. Bella DePaulo, welcome to the show.
Thank you. That was a wonderful introduction. And I'll just show my cover of my book now since I'm very proud of it.
Yes, for sure. I guess I want to start really at the beginning. Like how being in academia, how did you find the path towards this sort of subspecialty? Like how did you find this topic to focus on?
Yeah, well, I had a whole different area of expertise for 2 decades. I used to study the psychology of lying and detecting lies. And of
Man,
course, that was interesting. There's
is
no
that
short.
kind of like the other side? It's like the psychology of being in a marriage.
Maybe that's one way to think about it. But that was interesting. But I'm 70. I've been single my whole life. So this was more personal to me. And it started off about 3 decades ago, just noticing ways in which I thought I was treated as lesser than because I was single. So, for example, the person who arranged the course schedule for the Department of Psychology asked me to come in and teach at night because she said it would be too hard for the married faculty. And they didn't even have kids yet.
Oh my
Or,
gosh.
yeah, or my colleagues would socialize with me during the week. We'd go out to lunch, but then on the weekends, they would socialize with other couples and I wouldn't be invited. And so there was this whole series of examples like that. And it made me wonder, is it really because I'm single or they just don't like me and it's hard to know in any individual case. So I started asking people, other single people. At this social event, I went up to this woman. I didn't know her very well, but I knew she was single. And I told her about some of my experiences. And I asked her if she ever had any experiences like that. And wow, did she. So she starts telling me. Then somebody else hears us and she joins us. And then somebody else joins and somebody else joins. And we had this circle of people and we talked the entire night at that social event. So I knew it was resonating. Then the
Wow.
next day, I woke up, turned on my email, and I had emails from some of those people saying, "Oh, and I just thought of another thing." So, and then that same thing happened at a social event about a month later. So that's when I realized this isn't just something that's happening to me. And it's also something that single people care about. They really want to talk about this and do something about it. And one thing that was interesting about that is I was just starting to think about these things. Well, at that point, I had no idea of how systematic the disadvantages were. I call it singleism, akin to sexism or racism. It's the
Right.
stereotyping, stigmatizing, discrimination against single people. I didn't realize that in the United States and many other countries, the advantaging of married people is written right into hundreds of laws. It was
Really.
amazing. I was just aware of the everyday stuff.